Good morning and welcome to our video cast on some employment law topics. I'm Tom Spiggle with the Spiggle Law Firm. We help people who've been fired or afraid they might be in Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. We represent federal sector folks nationwide. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by one of our kick-ass senior attorneys, which refers to her capabilities, not to her age, Samantha Vanterpool Rucker.
You're awesome, Tom. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to chat with you what's happening in terms of the administration. I had a client recently who was concerned about his case. It's a matter of he's a member of the LGBT community. He's going through the FedSec process with the EEOC. It's an anti-discrimination matter. He has his case before an EEO officer. That's where you go through the process of having your discrimination claim heard by the federal agency. But unfortunately, we got notice that his call will be rescheduled. Today, we have not gotten a new date. My client is sort of in a state of panic. And his question is, what impact, if any, does the administration policies have on his case? And I'm sure that everyone in the firm is getting that question a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. And I think just with the LGBTQ plus community generally, they're both in the private sector and federal sector. This is kind of an open question. So I'll open the floor to you. What do you think? What's your take on how this will affect those cases? You know, what the underlying law is.
Well, of course, I sort of had to quell the panic. I let him know that discrimination laws were still in effect. There's Title VII Civil Rights Act, and there's no executive order that sort of further rescind or nullify the law. So the law applies. And in fact, we recently got guidance from the EEOC. Now, the EEOC is going to be business as usual. I really don't expect much of a change. As the law stands, he has rights that are guaranteed by Title VII. And also, they have to get the investigation completed within 180 days. But I feel pretty good. I know there's still nerves out there. We're anxious, but we have a system in place, and I'm hopeful that a system will play well.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And there's been a lot of confusion, as you say, you know, with the executive orders and rolling back DEI programs and clear hostility, frankly, to the LGBTQ plus community. But you're absolutely right. I mean, this only applies, first of all, it only applies to affirmative steps that the federal government was taking to diversify its workforce. So unfortunately rolls back those initiatives. But as you point out, the underlying law remains the same, both in the federal sector and private sector. Are we going to see some bumps in the road? Maybe. We've already seen at the EEOC for private sector jobs, they were told to stop processing charges when that raised issues of gender identity, which tends to impact the LGBTQ plus community more often. The latest I've heard is that they have started processing those, but they're being kicked up to a higher level of management, presumably so they can find some way to deny liability. But the truth is, as you know, Samantha, like particularly in the EEOC, 99.9% of the time, no matter how strong your case is, you're going to end up getting a right to sue. So does it materially affect you? For most people, probably not. You still got to go through the process. So you should still file. As you said, you got to give them 180 days. We can always pull the case after that and ask for a right to sue and go to court. And for the federal sector as well, like the Title VII still in place. You can't undo that with an executive order. That would take action by Congress, and even with the Republicans having control of both branches, of both houses, I don't expect that would happen. So,
Worst case scenario, you can always go and sue. And again, the laws are still in effect and nothing has changed.
yeah, absolutely. And another important point. This is true with like any claim, but there are always state laws too, right? Sometimes state laws are better, depending on what state you're in, than federal law. Like Virginia has a pretty good anti-discrimination level state law. DC has a very strong, of course, did you know the DC Human Rights Act? Maryland less so. But if you're in California, New Jersey, Connecticut, some of those states that have really strong employment laws, you've got other options. So, but I'm not saying that folks shouldn't go to federal court. You still can. The law still applies. Judges are still going to apply the law. We're going to, there's going to be some atmospherics, right? I mean, like again with the administration,
Absolutely.
yeah, administration taking the position that they have, but people should not forego pursuing their claims just because this is happening, because they still have them.
And one thing I like to shout out is DC. They do offer protection based upon political views. So you always have, you see
Well, and the other thing is when you're, the other thing is, Samantha, once you filed with it, you're gone to your EEO office or filed with the EEOC, you have anti-retaliation protection.
Yep,
So
exactly.
yeah, so it's always worth doing. A little bit of a broken record on this, but always go talk to your friendly neighborhood employment lawyer if you have questions, because we're following this on a day-to-day basis. Thanks so much for joining, Samantha. I'll let you have all right, thanks for joining the video. It's always a pleasure to have Samantha on. We have been getting a lot of questions about that. I hope that helps clarify some issues for folks. You can always call us if you have additional questions. You can also, we have now a free app that folks can join where you can share your experience that you're going through, ask questions. We can't provide specific legal advice to you, but there will be attorneys in the chat, including me, who can answer general questions. And again, you can meet people who are going through situations like you, because I know one of the difficult things about this process is that it's often very isolated. So you can go to spigglelaw.com/community. You can spigglelaw.com/community, and it's free to join. It's for anybody nationwide. In the meantime, good luck to everybody out there. Take care.